sebelum ke depan. Biasalah dia orang coming in stages. So kita bagilah 5 minutes more ya.
Tak dia nak letak. Kalau jadi Pak Wan mengajuk.
Itu memang style laki aku letak dia pun suka aku abang. Ada tak ada. Masa dulu bercinta. Abang dia lah letak dulu.
Ada lagi nak cakap.
Macam sama.
Lama kalau kita kira abang pergi bawah macam belum habis lagi.
Lepas tu lupa.
Balik tu masak tak cukup barang dia masak apa.
Mak yang jadi MC, mak yang dah kelabar.
CPS dah kosong belum? CPS dah kosong belum? Oh depan. Dr. Faiz depan.
Ya, depan.
Afdal depan. Ya, siapa kita saya kata ya? And data itu betul. Apa? Dia kan dah lama 10 tahun tu kan. I pernah. I tak tahu kat mana sekarang. Lepas tu satu saya jumpa dia. Dia kata, Anita, you are still here? What do you mean I'm still here? You are? Aku cakap, you are still here? What do you mean I am still here? Where should I be? Where else should I be? Rumah aku pula. Handin orang tua tu. Jangan tanya umur. Mahu siapa? Semua dia dah blackmail kita satu kuliah.
Saudara yang register hari ini dengan saudara nama yang dah bagi tu, kalau kami tak dapat apa, hantarlah surat datang nak jumpa.
Untuk aku bukan dulu. Kisah dah tu. Ada bangla gitu Syekh. Dah 80 lah. He can sense that something is wrong. Dia nampak dalam rumah.
So, Prof, saya boleh panggil
Duduk sini semua. Announcing the arrival of the Honorable Dato Muhammad Azhari Kamil. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Datuk Dr. Mizan bin Hitam, Deputy Director Student Affairs, representing Director of IIUM. Honorable Datuk Muhammad Azhari Kamil, Group President, Segi Berhad. Honorable Deputy Directors, Executive Directors, Deans, Directors, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon. Before we begin our program, let us recite Uda Umul Kitab Al-Fatihah. Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Office of Corporate Strategy and Office of Industrial Links, I would like to welcome all participants to this event. Our program today is very important to all academic leaders and administrative managers in learning and improving the service delivery in IIUM. We are honored today to have the Honorable Datuk Muhammad Azhari Kamil, Group President of Segi Berhad, former CEO of Asian Finance Bank Berhad, and also the CEO of Faculty Program for IIUM as our speaker. Welcome to IIUM, the Garden of Knowledge and Virtue, Datuk. To begin our program today, I would like to invite Honorable Professor Datuk Dr. Mizan bin Hitam, representing Director of IIUM, to give his welcoming remarks.
Terima kasih. Thank you, sister. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Alhamdulillahilladzi arsala rasulahu bil huda wa dinil haq liyudhhirahu 'ala ad-dini kullih wa kafa billahi shahida. Dear brothers and sisters and all staff of IIUM, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kuala sikit, penat. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang berbahagia Dato' Muhammad Azhari Muhammad Kamil, the Group President of Segi College, as our VVIP today. All the UMC members, Dato' Zailan, and all the UMC members, all deans, deputy deans, directors, HOD, and all officers who attending this program today. Alhamdulillah. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban to our yang berbahagia Dato' Muhammad Azhari. I think all of us aware that Dato' Muhammad Azhari is our CEO faculty for IIUM. Give him big round of applause. Alhamdulillah. Dato' Azhari, this is going to be a 3 minutes welcoming speech. On behalf of Director of IIUM, Professor Dato' Sri Dr. Zalia Kamruddin, and on behalf of the whole members, Warga IIUM or UIM, we would like to welcome you to IIUM Garden of Knowledge and Virtues. Tepuklah tangan sikit. My job here is to welcome him. For a good speech, inshallah, to share his experience on the topic is good governance in public universities. The only difference which I think our university is unique, we are public universities, but was established under Companies Act. So with your experience, with your background, studying first diploma in UITM, first degree, master's in America, with your vast experience in the corporate world, particularly in the Arab world, inshallah, you are the right person to share your thoughts and experience, discuss with us on public, good governance in public universities. I think that's about all. And I also must excuse myself. I can be until 3:40 because I need to jump to another room for another function. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Datuk Mizan. Ladies and gentlemen, without further delay, I would like to call upon Honorable Datuk Muhammad Azhari Kamil to deliver a talk on good governance in public university.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam satu Malaysia dan salam satu IIUM. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang berbahagia Datuk Mizan, I understand now you've got all the deans of the faculty here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for attending this so-called public talk. It's part of my CEO faculty series. I've been here many times. I think I've completed my 20 hours already, but this is extra. I feel it is very important that whatever we can share together, I hope I can make sure that this afternoon we don't have any sleepy heads. I know at 3 o'clock, after a heavy lunch, this is going to be very tiresome and very challenging to keep awake, especially when you talk about governance, which is very boring. So I'll try to have an interaction. Maybe I'll have a presentation for at least half an hour to 45 minutes. And later we like to open the floor. I think it is very important that we have a good interaction. And before I start, I need to give you some background about myself. It is very important before we take this forward so that you understand my background when I talk about governance, both from the public and the private sector, as well as the most governed institution, which is the financial institution and the financial services industry. When I graduated with my master's, so I came back in 1984, I have always worked in the financial services industry for almost 30 years. I retired from Asian Finance Bank last December after having spent 34 years in financial services, both in banking, Islamic banking, conventional banking, fund management, as well as investment banking and corporate advisory, both from the PNB Group, and the last posting I was CEO of Asian Finance Bank. And as you know, Asian Finance Bank is a consortium of 4 shareholders which are from the Middle East, which is the most challenging tribe of that world. I have got the Qatari, the Yemeni, the Saudi, and the Kuwaiti. And the practice of governance is always very important, particularly when you talk about financial institution. It is the utmost importance to have governance in any institution, especially when you are managing people's money. As a fund manager for the last 20 years, the core principle of governance, irrespective whether you come from public or private university, is integrity. In order for you to be outstanding in your field of financial services, you need to have the highest level of corporate governance, not only in the eyes of in terms of the public perception, but in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Corporate governance to satisfy human being, to me, is no governance. The corporate governance is all about the Almighty. It's about the respect of the wishes of Almighty, that we need to govern ourselves in the proper decorum, whether it be in public or private university. To me, corporate governance and governance is about governing your own self. If you don't have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, people can talk about corporate governance till the cows come home, but it doesn't come with the values and spirit of governance. The fear of Allah is the only one that can make sure we can be administered by. The only benchmark of corporate governance to me is the fear of Allah, because Allah will judge you and will give you the barakah if you do what is right and proper. So when you ask me to talk about corporate governance in public university, I think the title is not right. Corporate governance in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the blessing is the ultimate. Anywhere you go, even managing your family, you must have governance. We don't talk about corporate, we talk about governance. Governance means you must have a proper process. You must have the proper decorum. And when you have that process in place, it must be built in yourself. It is not something that you can learn overnight. Processes you can learn. In this so-called VUCA world, when I talk about VUCA, we talk about the vulnerability, the uncertainty, the complexity and the ambiguity of the market, of the world now. The abnormal is the normal now. So therefore, corporate governance is the most important thing that you must hold on as the basic principle for any practice. Because if you do not govern it in the proper order, and if you do it as if it is managing like a cowboy organization, the after effect will be tremendous. Not only to your good self, but to the organization, but also the impact is worse to society. We have seen the failure of financial institutions in 1997 when the financial crisis hit the world. What went wrong? Are we saying that the JP Morgans and the Merrill Lynch of the world didn't have proper standard operating procedure? They have. They have all the governance in place. They have got all the risk parameters in place. But what's the point of having a governance if there is no practice and enforcement? It is just to fulfill the requirement for you to apply for a banking license, you must have processes in place. You can have the best processes in place. You can have the best governance in place. But who is going to be the person that is going to implement and execute that governance other than us? In order for us to have the motivation to make sure we are governed by what we have been dictated, the only principle that will guide you is the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we are fearful of what we do, because we will be judged not only in this world but in the afterworld. I don't want to sound like a preacher because I'm not. I have gone through this cycle. I have seen the corporate failures for the last 30 years in managing funds for institution, of managing financial institution, managing public universities. I've been on the board of UITM, I'm on the board of USIM, I'm also on the advisory board of UMK, also on the investment board of UMS, and even Sagi University. And I can tell you, the level of governance in most of the universities is sickening of the highest order. Because they have no respect for the law. Everything is taken for granted. As chairman of the audit committee in UITM, I go through the processes. We see a lot of people who knows that there is a proper process of getting the things done correctly, but yet they don't fulfill the requirement. They never respect the process. Why? You've got the standard operating procedure, you've got the governance in place, you've got the so-called the green book that we always follow. Why is it not in place? Number one, let me tell you, it is all about leadership by example. Kalau ketua penyamun, anak-anak semua jadi penyamun. Just to be exact, because you have to lead by example, and you are the leaders of this university. In order for you to ensure that you practice the highest level of governance, you need to lead by example and show to your subordinates that you uphold and respect the governance. And there will be no tolerance that will be entertained if governance is breached. That enforcement must come from you. It cannot be something which you say, okay, I'll give you the first warning letter, second warning letter, third letter, you get disciplinary letter. It doesn't work. To me, if you breach governance the first and one only time, you kill him. Because these are the people that will destroy society. If you have provided the level of education, you have taught them, you told them, the first day they join your institution, they have signed that, orang kata, ikrar, aku janji, which you already agree, that you will uphold the level of the highest level of integrity and governance to ensure that you follow the process and respect the decorum while conducting your business. When you sign for it, you must be responsible. You cannot say you forgot or you are ignorant of it. Kita jangan jadi bodoh sombong. Kalau tak tahu kita tanya. But don't bulldoze it just for the sake of compliance. At the end of the day, you see what is happening to our society now. What is happening to our system if there's no governance? People don't respect the law. They behave like cowboys. They run organization like as if it is a cowboy management. But who suffers? It is the society that will have to pay the price. In public university, the governance is far more important than private universities. Because private universities, like me, we are a listed university. We get money from the public. That is also very important, because I have to respect the public that give the money for us to run the university. But when you run a public university, you pakai duit rakyat. It's the people's money, including your money, that telah diamanahkan kepada Universiti Islam supaya to play your role as an educationist. You must feel for the people, because whatever money that you have spent, it has to come with accountability and responsibility. But if you don't adhere and respect the governance, and you breach the rule because you say it is not your money, because if it's people's money, you'll be punished in the afterworld. That is amanah. And these are the basic principle. To me, public university, you have got a lot of money. The business will come from the sky. You should be very thankful, because why? You get your students from the UPU. You don't have to go out marketing. You don't even have to spend so much money on getting students to come to your university. You compare with my university. The ability of my university to survive is the ability for me to kiss the hand of the agents to bring the student to the university. And I need to pay these agents money just to bring the students to my university. But you are so blessed. It comes from UPU. The money that you get, the grants from the government that have been allocating, semua duit rakyat bagi pada you. So the more responsibility that you should take, because everything comes from Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala directly. For us, memanglah come from Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. But the effort that we have to put in to ensure that we get the students to be educated, so that they will pay our fees, is more tremendous. So when you talk about public university governance, it is not about the process. It is the values that you attach to the process. Why are you having a governance? You must ask yourself. Because why? Because you want to be consistent. You want to be transparent in your operation. You want to have a uniform system where everybody respect. And you must act within your own limitations and authority limits. And I have seen during the audit committees of most of the public universities, all these are being breached. You got an authority limit only to approve between 20 to 30,000. You go far below it. You go above all the time. And then you try to trick by breaking up the invoices and the authority limit. Just because you got 20,000, okay, you break into 5,000, 4 invoice. And this is what is happening. This is what is happening. Of course, there's a government policy from Ministry of Finance that you cannot give it to one single vendor or whatever. But that will only be identified post-event, after the breach has been conducted. That also if audit discover. I have seen the leakages in public university. If I can tell you the amount, you'll be sick. 30% to 40% of whatever government allocation has been given, 30 to 40% are all leakages. That is why now the government is now looking at it very seriously. Now they are asking all public universities to be self-generating income, because they are sick and tired of these leakages. And that is why now they have revamped the board to bring in more corporate people to develop the university, to bring it to a level of higher transparency. But I'm not saying that the corporate and private sectors are so-called the masters in governance. They themselves too are having the same set of problems. But we try to mitigate that. We cannot, what we call, clear the satans of the human. Satan ni mata kata ada. I am just a normal human being. I can only talk. By the end of the day, if given the dugaan pada Allah, I don't know whether I can take it. I've got my two Satan left and right. Which one I will listen to? But believe me, at the end of the day, it is the values that you profess. And you must remember, selalu ingat, you buat ni kat orang, you tipu orang, whatever is not yours, God will not punish you, maybe now, maybe not now, maybe in the afterworld, but your inheritance, anak-anak kita will suffer the brunt. Kalau tak kena pada diri sendiri, jadi pada anak-anak kita. And I've seen all this happening. I've attended many corporate funerals. Just to digress a little bit, to give you some fear, some corporate funerals. Maknanya top level CEO mati pagi ni, petang ni nak kena simpan lah. Sebelum dia meninggal, you have all the friends that come and see you and support you in total. But the CEO, people know, is hanky-panky. They don't respect the guy. But because he's in power, they comply to all their wishes. The moment he's dead, the number, to me, the benchmark of a successful person, like I said many times, is the number of people that will attend your funeral as compared to your birthday party. Because if the number of people attending your funeral is more than the birthday party, that man is an honorable man of the highest order. Because walaupun dia dah meninggal, he cannot give you anything anymore in life. And yet, you still come to sedekah your Al-Fatihah or come for his funeral. And we have seen a lot of people. And these people, when they don't have that governance, the moment they're out of the office, the new person that will take over the position will be a witch hunter. His job is to identify all the weaknesses of the deceased to make sure the deceased person is the most rubbish person of the highest order and he is right. Normal lah, manusia biasa kan. Nak tunjuk kata dia pandai, orang lain semua tak bagus. That is why if you practice the highest level of governance, you are a no-nonsense person as a CEO or as a dean of the faculty. Even though if you are dead, nobody can say bad things about you because whatever you have done in your life is all governed in the proper decorum. Not only you'll be blessed by Allah, but your generations that will take over your position will always have the highest respect. So in public universities especially, that's why I would like to encourage all the deans, the faculty, particularly yang tempat perolehan, the procurement department, all this, please remember, anything that you sign, please be responsible for it. If you feel that it is not right, call a spade, because at the end of the day, you nak naik pangkat, you nak jadi dean, you nak jadi ketua pejabat, it is not in the hands of any human being, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then you will never have the hard seat. Because apa? Everything you do is karena Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then you are not fearful of anyone in this world. Wallahi, Allahu Akbar. In my last 30 years, I might not be very popular with many people because I'm very vocal on many matters. Some of them are very happy if I don't attend the board meeting. They are always looking for opportunity. Dia tanya, Datuk Azhari mai tak? Kalau Datuk Azhari mai, Allah, kacau lah. Dia akan tanya ni, tanya tu, tanya ni. Kalau dia tak mai, you can see. Semalam pun saya testing juga. Semalam saya pergi lambat sikit. Oh, seronok. Bila saya masuk, you can see all the faces drooping. Dia tak suka. But it doesn't matter. We are not here to win a popularity contest. Kita diamanahkan oleh Allah supaya menjaga, make sure the university perform well. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, look, people will, at the end of the day, will respect you because you are a strict person, but don't be over governance. Yang tu pun kena jaga. If you are over governance, then there is no risk-taking, then there is no business to be made. Don't be under and over. Be moderate. Practice the level of governance which is practical in this world. For as long as your ultimate test, the litmus test, whether governance is in order, is that there is no benefit to you at all. Whether to you or to your department. Maknanya, everything must be equitable. So if you want to do a profit sharing with your friends in terms of the kan, you nak buat faculty dengan faculty, you nak share 50-50, but they say it's not fair because they contribute more to this program, so nak share 70-30. For as long as your conscience is clear, equitable distribution of wealth between the parties that want to respond to the governance, then you're okay. Dalam hati kena clear. Nawai tu kena clear. Anything you do, nawai tu kena apa? Karena Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala nombor satu. Number dua, if you can make money out of it, do it in the proper decorum, declare it, be transparent. In my university now, in Sagi, we are trying to encourage the professors to become entrepreneurs. Because we see a lot of professors here, with due respect, especially the public universities, they come and teach 9 to 5, they go back home. We don't want those type of professors anymore. We don't want. This is what we call the new generation of social emotional learning. The new social emotional learning trend involves 3 criteria. 1, communication. Number 2, collaboration. Number 3, problem solving. If you are able to communicate well, you have collaboration because you are now strengthening the expertise of both parties. You collaborate because you are not smart, maybe in certain areas. You are smart in any other area, but you capitalize on your partner who has got the strength in many other areas. So you collaborate. When you have collaboration, then you can solve problems together. If these 3 social emotional learning fundamentals are being strictly adhered, communication, collaboration, number 3, problem solving, then the art of corporate governance, if you embed all these features into it, you will design a structure that fits all of this. At the end of the day, it's a win-win situation for all parties involved. May it be from the regulator perspective, may it be from the person who is going to be involved in the governance perspective. In public universities, the weaknesses of corporate in terms of governance, let me tell you, I've been UITM director maybe barulah 6 bulan, USIM already 7 years, in UMK on the Age Council maybe 7-8 years. I can see the difference 7 years ago and now. And I'm very happy to tell you, I think the Ministry of Higher Education has done very well in promoting the Green Book in terms of governance, about the role of the board, about the role of the Vice-Chancellor, about the role of the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, how do we integrate to make sure that the governance is practiced at all times, even at the holding company. Particularly now, universities are expected to generate their own income. They have to set up their own investment holding company. So there must be parameters that you must set. And that integration, I see, to be honest with you, it is very much better than some of the private universities. Private university ni indah khabar dari Eropah dia, it could be worse. Because you know they are privately owned. When you are privately owned, the governance level is definitely not there. You just practice what is basic governance. But if it is a listed university like mine, fortunately it's a listed university, we need to comply to many regulations. Especially when you're listed, we got Bursa. We need to comply with Bursa, we need to comply with MOHE, we need to comply with MQA. You have got 2, but you are not regulated by the exchange because you're not a listed university. So fortunately, I'm very fortunate. That is why, when I was given the opportunity to join private universities, I look at Taylor, I look at INTI, I look at many other private universities with 510 licenses. It is very scary, to become a director or CEO of these private universities when you really don't know what is happening in the back room. And with this new Governance Act, if you don't pay the EPF of your employees, you tak bayar SOCSO, you tak bayar GST, your passport will be compounded at the airport when you want to leave the country. And directors are jointly and severally responsible. So let me remind some of you, the deans particularly yang duduk on the investment board ni, yang mana IUM, your private holdings, Sendirian Berhad, you are governed under the Companies Act. And if you don't pay EPF on time, if you don't pay the SOCSO, you don't pay all the regulatory payments to agencies, you are jointly and severally responsible. So jangan pandai-pandai ingat suka anak ID director without not knowing your responsibility. Because duit celah gigi pun tak lekat. It's not sometimes about the money. Jangan pandai-pandai nak duduk. So when you become a director, governance is number 1. When I was a fund manager, I sit on several public listed companies. The first thing I ask from the CFO, the Director of Finance, please show me all your regulatory returns, EPF, SOCSO, whatever that you need to comply with. I want to see that before we start the board meeting. And it has to be original. Because banyak sangat fabrication. Very important. Because the moment this regulatory governance is not being adhered to, there's no point talking about operational governance. Because regulatory governance is number one. You also have got that number one. So in public, private, or any other entity, any commercial outfit, any private outfit, regulatory governance is supremo. It cannot be compromised. Just like you being a public university. You cannot breach the Ministry of Higher Education rule. You cannot breach the governance in terms of the Green Book. That is regulatory governance. Secondly, operational governance. Operational governance involves the intricacies and the operational issues that you have to go through to make sure that you have got a certain level of authority limits that must be in place for you to exert your authority. Maknanya, if the CEO is only allowed to sign a check not more than 250,000 ringgit, make sure he can only sign that amount. Or you make sure you sign that amount. Anything above, walaupun satu date lebih pada 250, don't you dare even try. Because in this world, when people like you, they say you are the master. But when people don't like you most of the time, they will find all these little things that will kill you. Let me tell you, this is a very brutal and very harsh world we are living in. Especially when you talk about governance from the corporate perspective. Lani dia sayang you, dia kata, you are the master, boss. You are the master, no problem, boss. When they don't like you, they will even look at even your claims. Yeah? Kalau 1 sen lebih that you are not entitled for, and this is one they highlight. They will highlight that every day. Until those people who cannot take the pressure will just leave. But who is to be blamed? You are the one who created the problem because you allow the opportunity for people to hit you. And in this world, it is better for you to know who your enemies are. And your enemies are, wallahi, in governance, are mostly your friends. I have gone through this dirty world, for the last 30 years. And if you ask me, I'm also sick and tired lah. Saya pun letih nak tanya betul-betul lah. Pasal manusia ni macam-macam punya PL. Bila you bagus, dia kata you bagus, tapi dia tak sincere. Dia camdek kebanyakan kali. Dia camdek dia. Camdek ni is a northern word for perli lah. Perli. So bila you buat satu mistake saja, it will hit you. So for you to always be on your toes and alert on things. Always tell yourself, whatever you do, you must act within your limit. Kalau you ada power, at a certain level, just act within that. Kalau tak ada, jangan nak jadi hero. You don't want to be a dead hero. Because sometimes you want to be so excited about getting things done, you rasa, okay lah, kalau ni proses birokrasi ni susah sangat, lambat, I take the responsibility. You pun tanya. At the end of the day, you think orang appreciate tak? Nobody gives a damn. They think, oh, dia ni bagus. He took the trouble, tak apa within, but he was very sincere of getting it done. Sincerity is no litmus test for honesty. Nothing. You are sincere at your heart between you and Allah. But Allah also doesn't permit you to act beyond your powers. Allah will only give you the barakah if you act within the limits that you are authorized. So my brothers and sisters, if I want to talk about public university, please, we do not want to talk about governance in public university. I think the most important thing is governance about ourselves first. Kalau kita pun tak boleh govern diri kita, how can we manage governance in the university? It must come from the heart. It must come from your own motivation. It must come for the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All this is the worldly punya standard operating procedure, duniawi punya standard operating procedure. Because we want to have consistency, we want to have process, so that we will have clear lines of authority, which is good for organizational efficiency. Itu saja. Because then the organization becomes very structured. In the event someone takes over your position, they have very clear standard operating procedure that they can follow. But Nawatu, no? Nawaitu yang kita buat ni, kenapa? Because we want to respect the decorum and the governance of that organization. But the only way you can make sure that you follow it, how do you implement it? It must come from the heart lah. You betul-betul, you feel that you must respect the governance. Then you do it. Tapi kebanyakannya, bila ada governance, you say this is bureaucracy. Most of the failures of governance is because when you get caught, you will blame it on bureaucracy, and also you blame it on inefficiency. If you know whatever you enforce, the standard operating procedure or the governance structure is not right, speak your mind out. Jangan accept it, and then when you make you create a breach, then you want to defend yourself and blame the bureaucracy and the inefficiency. If you know it is not right, it is not practical, voice it. Voice it in the proper decorum. Change. To me, the only thing that you cannot change in this world is the Quran. That is the only document by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which you cannot even put a full stop or a comma. Like it be very clear. Any other document other than the Quran is only man-made. And if from time to time you need to review the structure and the processes, and if you feel that it is not done based on the evolution of the structure or the evolution or the changes of time or the changes in regulatory, be robust about it. Keep on changing the governance structure. Now we are talking about the cyber security, which is number one governance. We are not talking about the operational governance anymore. How do we govern cyber security? They call it ransomware, ethical hacking. These are the new technology that's coming into place. And this is the most disastrous terrorism of it all. It is worse than a plague. Because a lot of institutions and corporates, if they do not have this proper governance on cyberware, they will be facing a lot of problem in the next 2 to 3 years. Because there will be a lot of ethical hacking that is happening, a lot of ransomware where they will block your system, especially the banking, and then you pay them a ransom, then they will unlock that system. And all those 5 years down the road, have we ever thought of that? Nobody thought. We thought that we have a full good security system for as long as we have got the firewalls in place. Alhamdulillah. But the penyamuns are always very clever. They always think of how to cheat and cheat and cheat and how to plague the system. So we must be on constant alert. So when you talk about governance in public university, please do not think it is only about the operational issues. You must look at it from the holistic perspective of governance. You cannot zoom. When you talk about governance, you cannot talk about regulatory anymore, which you have to. You cannot talk only about operational, which it is standard. Now we talk about the cyber governance, which is the in thing now. And you need to be technically conversant, and 2 years or 3 years down the road, this will be the terrorist threat from cyber. So in public universities now, you need to change your governance, especially from the IT perspective. Imagine, I'm sure all of you are looking at the possibility of university, that our university will go online another 3 to 5 years down the road. The students now, you need to provide them with blackboards. They have to bring iPads to school. No more class book, no more books, no more, nothing whatsoever. In Sagi University, we don't bring books to university anymore. Homework is everything done by blackboard. We have a campus management system. We need to. Because kita tengok anak-anak kita, cucu saya pun umur 3 tahun mau main iPad dah. So you can imagine if they go to to university in the next 20 years, you are still giving them the hard copy and asking them to do homework through hard copy, nobody will come to your university. So when you talk about governance now, it is not about just protecting the interests of the university. You must also have a foresight. How do you govern the future? Because if you're able to govern the future, then you'll be able to come up with new strategy on how to develop the university. And this is the responsibility of the deans. The professors, like I say, must be entrepreneurial. Maknanya, they have to go out into the market, build the linkages of the industry, come up with your own program. And people want to come to the university not because of University Islam anymore. It's because of you as the professor. You must brand your own name. That is the ultimate efficiency of the professor in the academic world. Maknanya, it is not about University Islam. I'm coming to University Islam is not important because all universities will have the same infrastructure. So how do you beat the market? Everything is on technology. Where is the value proposition in the public universities? Other than the name of the professor and the branding of the professor. Because people would like to have interaction with the professor because everything is technology you don't even see. Now if they call it the MOOC, Massive Open Online Courses. In my university I've got 3 licenses. We call it the online distant learning, where I have regional centers in most of my campuses. We go for adult education, everything online. I only see them every quarter for them to come in to sit an exam. I'm sure you also will be starting that. So how do you now sell the university? Because everything is online. Whether I go to University Islam or you go to UITM or go to UMS, semua online. But for the student to choose your university now, what is going to be the value proposition? It is the branding of the professors. I like to come under this professor because this professor is well-renowned professor. And this is where we in SAGU University, we are also going to all the Ivy League university, looking at INSEAD, looking at University of Pennsylvania, from Wharton, Chicago Circle, University of Chicago, Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, University of Michigan. Why? Because we want to bring those so-called branded professors now to come to Malaysia so that we can do corporate training together with them and invite the corporates to attend. That is going to be the new thing for private universities. I don't know whether public universities, I think you should start that. Because those were the days when you talk about the success of university, we are talking about just students. We want to be a university that is going to educate the nation. Wallahi, not students only. So your adult education is important. The lifelong learning perspective must be covered all along the line. So with all these strategies in place for you to remain relevant, for you to remain competitive, you need the governance to guide you. You need the governance because you have to act within the perimeter. You need to offer programs that will offer value, not only the fundamentals. And this is where people are challenging. When you are teaching through the internet, what relationship have you got with the students? Are you now creating values of students? Because you are training a robot, you don't even see the student. You only see the student when he come and sit for the exam. So again, you must ask, is the integrated IHC GPA relevant? Again, I must ask you that question. Is it going to be relevant in the next 5 years? Because with online learning, is it going to be relevant? Because you are not interacting with the students anymore. This is where you kena cakap lah. Sekarang ni relevan lah. Kita nak cari holistic, entrepreneurial, balanced student. That is the first shift in the blueprint of the Malaysian education blueprint. You all know that. And that is ultimate. For now, yes. But for private universities, it could be a challenge. Because everything is online now. Student homework, kita bagi through Blackboard. Dia reply Blackboard. When we come to tutorials, we'll tell them this is what we want to discuss. They will Google all over the world. They come in, we have discussion. So the more you are advanced in technology, the more you are losing the sight of values and interaction. How do you put governance together? Now, this is the challenge, which I cannot tell you the answer. I myself am more confused than Confucius himself. It comes through the evolution of thought. That means you have to take it one day at a time, cross the bridge, design it to make sure it is going to be modified and adjusted to the circumstances and the environment at that point of time. Again, governance is not static. It is an evolution of thought. Governance today need not necessarily be practical governance for tomorrow. It is not static. It has to change from time to time, taking into account the regulatory framework, taking into account the environment, taking into account the culture. Governance in America, is it practical here? It is not culturally right. So when you talk about governance, it cannot be a universal thought. It cannot be something which must be accepted by the whole world. Governance in Africa compared to governance in Malaysia, different culture, different level of so-called economic development. So it cannot be crafted in stone. It has to be an evolution of thought. And it has to keep on changing to suit the environment. But the ultimate governance at the end of the day, no matter how technological advanced the world is, what is the benchmark that you follow? Wallahi, tell me, anyone have got an answer for this? What would be the referral to any governance that you do in this world? May it be in terms of processes, may it be in terms of structure, may it be in terms of compliance. What is the referral that you will refer to as supremo? Allahu Akbar, the Quran, that's all. That's all. Very simple, brothers and sisters. Because the Quran has it all. Has it all. In all the 30 juz that you read, Allah, Maha Kuasa, Allahu Akbar. He has covered all that in the Quran. But we fail to realize that. We fail to refer to that source. Whatever we are doing now is a reflection of the Quran to the best of our ability. But Allah knows best. Every time it is a challenge, dugaan pada Allah, kita kena terima. And we have to reda. Even though how well we practice the governance, but since the governance is not being practiced by the malaikats of the world, it is being practiced by human being, so definitely there will be breaches. So what I'm saying that there can never be a foolproof governance process. No matter how clever or no matter how much time you put into the structure, there will be some loophole that you will miss it. The link will not be there. But, like I said, it is robust. It is always room for improvement. So I think I've said enough. So although I zoom in terms of the general governance, but what I'm saying is that whether you're a public university, you're a private university, or you are corporate, or you are a commercial, or you are individual, or you are a person, the principle of governance is the most important. Dalam keluarga pun, kita ada tata tertib. Governance ni tata tertib. Itu saja. Oh, Mak Saleh itu bagi dia susah sikit. Tata tertib. Perlu buat cara elok. Dalam Quran pun kata, kalau kita nak buat apa-apa, please look at the impact it has on society. Because on the day of judgment, when you are buried 6 foot underground, 7 steps after you are buried, the first question is that Allah will not ask you whether you are a full professor or you're a PhD from Harvard. What have you done in this world to help your brothers and sisters, to develop your society and your religion? That is the first question. They don't ask you anything else, whether you are a PhD from Harvard. So it all comes down to basic lah. It all comes down to basic. I'm very thankful, that I try to remind myself, although sometimes I forget myself, kadang-kadang kita terlupa, kita ingat kita pandai, but always kita kena beristighfar selalu lah. Always remember, apa kita nak buat, make sure it doesn't hurt society, it doesn't hurt anyone along the line. Do it properly, proper decorum. Like I said, the social emotional learning involves 3. It is all about communication, collaboration, and problem solving. Work together as a team to make sure with this social emotional learning fundamentals in place, the governance will definitely fall into place, provided nawai tu kena betul lah. You don't do governance in terms of the standard operating procedure to make things difficult. We only want to make sure that it is structured properly so that people will have a sense of responsibility and accountability. That is what governance objective is all about. We want people to be responsible and accountable, so that the processes are going to be standardized, it is going to be uniform, it has to be respected. Okay, I have spoken about maybe half an hour to 45 minutes. I am open the floor for discussion. I think it's very important that we need to interact. I welcome any question. Saya sudahi dengan wabillahi taufik. Walhidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Please, I welcome the floor. I had a good conversation, with the students about 2 weeks ago. Yes, Tuan Hadi.
Assalamualaikum. Terima kasih banyak.
Salam.
And that's a good speech, and thank you very much for the reminders that we have received. Tapi yang abang tadi ialah the first one. Saya 3 kali baca khutbah dah.
Alhamdulillah.
Cakap kata pasal kita atas jalan ni, we have to respect the weaker, according to the Prophet, walk according to the weak.
Correct.
But on our roads, the drivers, the riders don't stop for the pedestrians.
Correct.
Ni among student, among staff berlaku di jalan kita ni.
Yeah.
Satu. The second one is that we all know about this governance, the proper, the body. But it's not there in practice. Why? We still keep mencuri daripada time university. When we go, this is, I'm going to pension, so I kata.
Tak apa. Say what you say. Call a spade a spade. We appreciate that.
That's it. So, let's start with Fatiha and end with Surah Wal Asr.
Yes, we end with that. Yeah, mashallah.
And then the next meeting will also 10 minutes.
Also, sama.
And I've counted top management. 10 minutes is going to be about 2,000 something.
Yes.
Dollars
Yes.
per year. So why does this happen? Are we not mu'minin or what? Thank you.
I think that's a very good question. I find it very challenging to answer because, if you ask me why, even though we have all these procedures, we have got all these traffic lights, people still don't follow, I guess that is the world. The only thing that we can do is that we want to make sure we will be able to provide the education and the awareness. That's the best any human being can do. For us to change the world and have the malaikats walk the road is going to be a daunting task which will never happen. Definitely in this world, that is why we have governance. Because kita ada manusia yang akhlak mulia, manusia yang akhlak medium, manusia yang tidak akhlak. Normal. Itulah. This is the world. So when we have all sorts of people in this organization, so the leadership is a very important element. And I see that if the leader is strong enough to execute all this governance policy, even to himself, maknanya dia lead by example. Dia sendiri don't abuse the system. Eventually, believe me, wallahi, you can mitigate 50% of the risk of breaches in governance. Pasal bos dia orang betul. Bos dia kata mai 7.5, dia mai 7.5. Bos dia kata pun punch in, dia pun punch in. Bos dia nak balik pukul 5.30, dia pun pergi punch out juga. Dia kata dia bos, dia tak payah punch. No. You have to lead by example. If you set the rule for everyone to follow, the only follower that will follow you is provided you have a leader to follow. Kalau leader tu pun penyamun, buat rule untuk depa, you are immune to all this, you will have no respect. And that is why yang curi ni banyak. Because I notice, if you have a good leader, you come to the meeting, you are serious. You read the paper. You are concerned about the university. You ask each and every one question. That shows that you care. Tapi setengah orang ni, orang Melayu particularly, maaf lah. Bila kita tanya question, dia kata kita nak menunjuk. Bila kita tanya banyak, dia tu nak dapat glamour, nak naik pangkat. You see, you don't appreciate. This is the problem of the culture that we are managing. So no matter what you do, everything is not right. You tanya banyak pun salah, tak tanya pun salah. Kalau senggap pun salah. So how do you benchmark yourself? Again, tanya Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Kalau you betul, if you want to ask something, do it because not you want to show off, but because you really want to find out why. Because by finding out why, you can add your opinion, you can add value to the meeting. Indirectly, it could be taken into account as part of the strategy moving forward. So masalah yang Tuan Haji tanya tu saya faham. We have all the governance and yet they break the rule. But bila kita tanya yang breaking the rule tu, tengok siapa dia leader. Tengok siapa leader. Kalau you tengok betul leader ni, I think 50% of it in terms of curi-curi tak will not happen. Because the leader is very firm. When I talk about the leader, it is not about the position. Just because you are CEO, you are leader, no. A leader is a person who that can come in any capacity, whether he is a CEO or a driver, is the ability to lead by example, which is good values. Maknanya even my driver is a leader. Because when he drives the car, I am the CEO, I don't control him. He's a driver, he is a leader. He will decide which route to take so that we will be on time. So he is the leader. You must respect that. He choose the road, you quiet lah. Dia tahu jalan, dia driver, you have to respect. Yang ni, dah bagi pangkat pada orang tu, dia nak masuk campur. Then why give the position when you are not going to be allowing the person to shine in his position? Bila kita bagi peluang, when you give an opportunity to the person, you must trust the person to carry to the best of ability. But in leadership, you cannot be giving him full authority without you having the right check and balances. From time to time, you as the super leader, you need to check whether the KPIs have been met. Doesn't mean you delegate in total without monitoring. Yang tu penyamun lah. And then when everything goes wrong, you don't want to take responsibility. To me, the best, at the end of the day, if any of the faculty members as a dean or as the so-called vice-chancellor of the university, I will take responsibility for whatever happened to the university. I will not push the buck. Oh, ini din bodoh lah. Din ni, dia ni tak betul, dia ni tak betul. You kata pandai ke orang. Why you become a leader when you cannot guide the person? Unless you have been swayed. You will be given wrong information. That one also no excuse. As a leader, you must make it a point to know what is happening in your family. Sama macam you sebagai mak dengan bapa dengan anak. Anak you keluar pergi disco pun you tak tahu. You kata dia dah besar ke bawah dia punya pasal. Bila jadi, siapa yang susah? Keluarga yang susah. So you must take responsibility as a family. So to me, for governance to really be implemented, it has to be led by a good example by the leader. Kalau leader buat tak betul, how are you going to enforce the governance on others? It's all about leadership. In the Quran pun dah kata dah, ketua keluarga itu mesti tunjuk sifat-sifat yang mulia untuk pendidikan keluarga supaya keluarga jadi murni. Tapi kalau bapa penyamun, mak penyamun, so what do you expect? The association of penyamun lah. So these are very simple things. So to me, it's all about leadership in governance, which is very strong. I have attended some programs in Harvard. When we talk about governance, this is an area which they really emphasize in America. Because after the failure of the financial crisis, all the standard operating procedures, now Harvard is now teaching about value management, offering degree programs, offering even executive degrees in value management. And these are the in thing, because without values, where do you place yourself? When you talk about governance, you must talk about value management. Ethical management is no more important. What is ethical to you doesn't mean it is unethical to others, because it is culture. But when it comes to value, it is all about human being. Manusia sejagat, value, apa yang betul. It is not about culture, it is not about environment. Ethical is about culture. You go. Ethical in Malaysia. You can spit many times in China. That one no problem. Everywhere you go to China, you can see people just spitting all over the place. But that is accepted. You try in Singapore, or you try in Malaysia for that matter also. Different. Tapi kalau value ni, sifat kemanusiaan yang mulia, that comes from the inner side of you. What is right? And that can only come provided you have the environment that provide you with the right education, pendidikan, moral, tunjuk ajar, latar belakang. All that is very important. So I hope that answers your question, Tuan Haji. Thank you. Any more question? When I did last week, we had fulls of question 2 weeks ago. Prof, this one student asking a lot of question, I hope I didn't bore you lah. That's why you have no question.
Assalamualaikum, Dato'.
Waalaikumsalam.
Just one question about leading towards good governance requires concerted efforts by all.
Yes.
But if the leaders are towards it, sometimes the subordinates tends to have resistance to changes because they're already comfortable in their
betul.
comfort zone. Well, we say that nobody likes changes except
Correct.
the wet babies.
Correct.
Right? So how would you explain?
Okay. Every time you have got new rules, new governance, new procedures, people don't like. Because they say, look, the existing one is okay, so why must we change? You see, it is, again, the power of the leadership to convince that these changes are necessary to address the current environment. What we had 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, or 5 years ago, was suitable in that environment. This, again, is about the education, the creation of education and awareness. The value proposition for the leader is that the ability for him to convince, if I want to do a change in the organization, what is going to be the value proposition that you're all going to enjoy? The problem with organization is that when they want to change, they don't communicate that value proposition to the employees. Dia kata dia nak tukar pasal nak tunjuk kata dia CEO baru, nak buat pembaharuan. New. It doesn't mean new is good. But if the leader is able to communicate, a lot of universities now are going for transformation program. Among them is UiTM. I'm sure many other public universities will also. After 5 years, the transformation program will come along. But it is very important for you to have this transformation program. You must have the buy-in from all the participants. And that transformation program cannot be done overnight. So you need to go on the ground, you need to educate them, you need to give them example why you need to change from the current practice to the new practice. If you're able to convince and show, not only from the qualitative aspect of the changes that will result to the benefit of all of you, but you also need to quantify the changes that will add value to the university. Qualitative, we have all this process structured, tak pening pala, lani within this limit ada. Okay, that is qualitative. But the quantitative aspect also must be shown that this will be a cost savings to the university. By having this new procedure, kita akan dapat menyematkan duit as part of the strategy, that we need to generate our own income. The challenges to generate new income now is challenging. So therefore, our procedure now, first strategy, cost saving. So the changes have to be done. So you show how much cost savings you can develop because of these new changes. After that, there must be a spirit of equity. Okay lah, you dah save duit. What do I get? You kena habang pula. Yalah, kalau kita cost saving, kita become more efficient, we will now distribute whatever excesses to all of you to enjoy. That is the bottom line. The dollar sign is ringing. Barulah orang nak buat. Yani, if you want to do the transformation just to have structural changes, to give people more autonomy, so that it become more efficient, but it is not translated to dollars and cents, to the participants, what do they get? Orang naik pangkat, ialah the top level buat transformation, dia tu create a new department, dia naik pangkat. So dia apa pun tak dapat. So when he gets nothing, he said, this is rubbish. Why must I transform? I'm happy with the current system. Then you see the rebellious. Because why? Again, social, emotional learning. 3 aja. You don't communicate, you cannot collaborate, and then you cannot problem solve. Itu saja. So if you communicate this well to all those people who are going to be beneficiaries of this so-called transformation of change, both qualitatively and quantitatively, people will buy in because the benefit will go to them. The normal human being, kalau you dapat benefit, kita normal, kita manusia biasa. Saya pun tak pergi mana pun kena tanya juga, kalau pi ni dapat duit tak? Kalau pi ni dapat duit tak? Because the Satan is asking. The left Satan is asking, do I get money or not? If I do something, do I get money or not? And then Satan on the right kata, no lah, nothing lah, you just social responsibility lah. The most they give you a datukship lah, that's most. So you ask yourself, it's not money now. You got to ask, you got to fight the bad Satan. But most human being, kadang-kadang the level of keimanan is not as strong as many people. Saya bukan strong pun, saya manusia biasa, saya ada kelemahan. Kadang-kadang the left Satan is better than the right Satan, so I will follow the wrong way. Normal. But if you give them the vision and the motivation that there is a carrot at the end of the day, jangan janji nak naik pangkat. Oh, kalau you buat transformation ni, kita become efficient, nanti boleh ada chance naik pangkat. Because we create now lateral movement pula. You can go up. Yang tu semua orang kata, we are talking about the Star World ni semua, future, we don't believe lah. We want to talk about now. What will be the impact to the bottom line? So again, I hope I answer that question. It is about the communication and the benefit to the people. That if you change the current system, this will be the benefit. And it has to be communicated both qualitatively and quantitatively. I hope that answers your question, Prof. Thank you. Yes. Waalaikumsalam. Meaning to say the fresh graduate want to become entrepreneurs, and most of them went to become entrepreneurs and fail. So how do we reduce that rate of failure? Okay. I think that's also a very good question, because if you look at the Malaysian education blueprint, we would like to have our students to become more job creators than job seekers. So this is part of the entrepreneurial, the first shift in the higher education blueprint, which wants to have entrepreneurial, holistic balance. You see, to become an entrepreneur is not an easy task for fresh graduate. This is where I had the session 3 weeks ago with your so-called your graduating class. This is again, I want to blame the professor. Jangan marah saya. So every time you nak buat session ni untuk student yang that is about to graduate, baru nak berak, baru nak koyak lubang. This is the problem. They're going to graduate in 3 months, then only you call me to talk to them. I want to talk to the first year graduate student, because from the first year, they must now determine the chart where they want to be. What is going to be their ambition? Number one, what is going to be their ambition? For the first year student, we must already inculcate, develop that. If you want to know after knowing your ambition, which playground do you want to play? Do you want to be in the playground where you want to be an employee? Or you want to be a playground with entrepreneurs? All right? After you know which playground you want to play, what is going to be the winning strategy that you're going to adopt so that you can be excellent in which playground you want to play? You must know the winning strategy, because very competitive market. After doing this, you must ask yourself, what would be the value creators that you will create by becoming either an employee or an entrepreneur? These 4 questions you must ask. What is your ambition? What playground you want to play? What winning strategy that you're going to adopt to make sure you win in which playground you want to play? And the value creators, the value proposition that can make you an outstanding, iconic, towering personality. If you can answer all these 4, then you decide. If you want to be an entrepreneur, I see a lot of graduates becoming entrepreneurs. That is very commendable because they do not want to rely for the job market. They want to create jobs for other people, which is commendable. But they must look at themselves. You know, to do business on your own, number one, business is all about relationship and networking. You might have millions. Your father could be the richest Arab in the world. But if you don't have the network, you don't have the relationship, you don't have the passion of doing business, and you're not willing to take failure as a stepping stone for success, don't you ever try. Because business is all about capital and size. You nak meniaga, kena ada duit. You have to put your money where your mouth is. Because you nak meniaga burger pun, you kena beli burger dengan roti. So you kena percaya that by buying the roti and the burger, and you can do a good burger where people will buy from you. So there is a commitment both from your side in terms of financial commitment and your passion to get it done. No business is free. The problem with these young students yang graduate ni, all of them are asking for grants from the government called the SME grant. Sometimes I blame the government also, with due respect. Kalau you nak bagi grant SME ni, you must look at it, must also provide this grant even when the students have decided on the second and third year to become entrepreneurs. Jangan bagi bila dia dah graduate. Because you give them grant, kata dia nak buat malam, nak jual burger, or to do business, nak buat tudung ke hijab ke. You provide that incentive when they are at the university level. A small incentive, a small grant, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 ringgit for them to set up shop so that they can either go and ask people to do the hijab and they become traders. Give them that so-called entrepreneurial experience on life, and while they are studying. Because then they will appreciate it. And if they fail at that point of time, it will be a lesson which is not going to be hurtful. Kalau government bagi 500 ke 100 ringgit for the students to start. But I don't see that being given to students at the universities. I'm trying to fight for UMK because they are so-called University of Entrepreneurs. Why is the government not giving 1,000 or 500 ringgit to second-year students in the degree in entrepreneurship as a venture capital to participate? You start your own business. Because it is important, the moment you are doing the business when you are second year, you are already building a relationship with client. You bought small burger stall too because your burger is good. You have good relationship where people will come. And then from there you know, oh, if I do business, I have all my loyal clients because they love my burger and the taste of it is excellent to them. Then if you see that is happening when you graduate, you are willing to put more money because you have tested the market on a small scale, and now you want to grow big. You feel more confident because you have got the expertise in the business. You have got life experience in terms of becoming an entrepreneur. You know the challenges. You know how to overcome the challenges. And during the process of your second year doing burger, you also have experienced some of the failures. Because no success can ever be appreciated or being welcomed if you have not gone through failures. So to me, at the end of the day, kalau you graduate, you got to ask yourself, you must have capital. Capital is not enough. You need to have the relationship for business because it is so competitive. So for the young graduate, what business can you do other than trading? Because there is no need for capital. You say that you have got the network. You nak jual hijab ke? You nak jual any trading ornaments ke? So definitely you must have the relationship and the network to do the business. And that is the failure. Most students yang buat ni, dia buat kecil-kecil. My advice to students, don't go and do entrepreneurship immediately. You must work at least 1 year. Go and work and find a place where you are looking at the possibility to learn the business trade, look at the experience and study the market for at least 1 year, and then you feel comfortable, you have enough capital, then you start on your own. Because if you, after graduating, without going through the market, really putting your money where your mouth is, and it hurts if you lose your money, then you know how difficult it is. Then only when you are successful, you appreciate the challenges of business. Kebanyakan yang graduate, yang buat business baru-baru ni semua, 90% like you say, all fail. because they are not able to compete. Because the business of trading now is everything on technology. Everything is internet selling. Everything go to the website, you have an Instagram, you jual macam-macam on the net. So that doesn't involve capital. But it still involve capital because you need to deliver the product. You kena suruh orang buat hijab tu, kena hantar, and then people order online. But that business, will it add value? How long? How much can you make? The competition that you are doing is everybody else is selling hijab. Everybody else is selling jubah. So my challenge to the entrepreneurs of the students, kalau nak buat pun, work in an organization that is going to provide you with the right training skill and the network for you to do the business. At least 1 year. After getting that, then you have some relationship, then you can build. These are all the calculated risks that you want to take. But we are trying to get the government, maybe through UIA also should champion this, where especially your entrepreneurship program, for the students, maybe the government can provide a grant of 500 ringgit for those serious who want to do business. But you tell them, the 500 ringgit is not free. The moment you get free money, no level of appreciation. You kata kat dia, bagi 500 ini, you kena bayar. Your last final year, your student fee increase by 60 ringgit a month. You pay back. Because nothing is free. Kalau you minta free, semua orang minta lah. 500 orang, the 500 ringgit, dia dapat, dia pergi joli. Tak boleh. There must be a commitment. Maknanya, those serious. And this is where you can test the level of entrepreneurship. Orang yang ada passion, dia sanggup, dia kata tak apalah, kalau saya ambil 500 ringgit, 1 tahun, saya bayar maybe another 60 ringgit additional on my fee. I take that commitment. It's something I think it's a good model to test them out. And then you can see the seriousness, especially in the school of business. Entrepreneurs are good, but you need to equip yourself with the knowledge and the power of networking and relationship. Because in business, in anything you do in your life, if you're not able to sell yourself, you cannot sell anything in this world. I repeat myself to all the professors. If you're not able to sell yourself, you're not able to sell anything in this world. So the story is very simple. We need you to brand you as the professor and not University Islam. Because eventually, you are the one that is going to make University Islam the champion of all universities. Because with your branding, students from all over the world will come. And you are blessed. You know, macam UiTM, we only limited to the Bumi Putras. Every time we take a non-Bumi Putra, it becomes a controversy in Parliament. But you are blessed. You are given the opportunity. Allah has given you all the opportunity to bring all the international students of all the world, irrespective of color. How well have you been doing it? I want to ask you. What has happened to University Islam for the last 10 years? Tell me the growth of your international student. This is what it's all about. You should benchmark yourself because you are a university, an international university. You should have 90% international student, only 10% local. That's what we call international university. And why are we still becoming jago kampung? Saya mohon maaf lah kalau saya terkasar. Why are we still becoming the Malay champion? Why? You are not created to become the Malay champion. The Malay champion is UiTM. You are a Malaysian brand champion. International university. I want to see at least 90% of the students are international. Not only from the Middle East. Why are we working with the third world countries? Why are we not able to attract the Americans and the British and the UKs? Why are we not doing that? Again, food for thought. These are the challenges which you must champion. Because you are an international university. You must be a niche. What makes you different than USIM? About the same. About the same. What is the niche? What is the value proposition that you have got? You are an international university. So, why are you not getting all the international students from all over the world? Because we have got a fantastic curriculum here that teaches you the principles of life, which is Islam. Why are you not capitalizing it? Why are you not able to attract so-called the Indonesian Muslims? Why? How many Indonesian students have you got here?
600.
600,000?
6.
Yeah, come on. 300 million population in Indonesia.
And from Bangladesh we have
Yeah.
100.
Yeah. But the numbers are not there. I have 82 nations of the world, 5,000 international students. You're about the same as mine?
So we have more.
5,500.
5,500. My student population is 26,000.
I think we have to understand, sorry to butt
Yeah.
in. I think we have to understand that we were not allowed more than 35%.
Is that the rule?
Is that from the KPT? Is it still right?
Change the rule.
That's it.
Is this the Quran? This is where you need to be bold. I must repeat myself. For you to create a change in the university, you need to be bold and do it. Because the moment you go to KPT, you want to increase to 30%. We're not asking you to increase to 100% overnight. You tell them, look, give me 2 years, I want to do 40. Another 2 years, I want to do 60. And I will prove to you that within the certain time, the university is an international university. But you have not made the proposition. Why is the cap given 25%? What is the magic figure? Is it from the sky? You have been in the business for the last 30 years, correct? Yeah. Change. Propose it to the ministry. I'm sure they're very happy. But the problem is that when you say you want to increase your international student, governance. Have you got the infrastructure to govern the university? Because managing international students have got their own challenges. Visa, permit, discipline, infrastructure, accommodation. So you must prepare all that, baru pergi jumpa kementerian, and if you have got all this business plan in place, I don't think they will say no to increase to additional 10%. The problem is you have not tried. So every time we ask you, you say as if this is the Quran. We have to get real. So who do you blame? We blame ourselves.
Saya nak suggest lah.
Yeah.
Our faculty of medicine is coming up with the teaching hospital.
Good.
So the capacity of teaching, at one time, the former dean was saying that we can go up to 180.
Your bed is 180 bedded.
It's 300 bed.
300 bed. Okay, reasonable.
But we can train we take in the intake of 180.
Because of quota.
Per year. No, because quota. That's the maximum we can take.
Because of the student professor ratio. Yeah.
Okay. And what is needed locally is 125 for us to produce locally. So there is the extra of about 70 or 60 plus.
Correct.
So I'm suggesting that if we can open this up for our own international intake, of course, we do respect that we won't sacrifice our what they call quality.
Yeah.
And I have been to international exhibition where our father in Kazakhstan is taking out his American
Credit card.
check American
Check,
on an American bank, willing to sign that $250,000 USD for her daughter to be trained here.
Yeah.
Right? So I was calculating with that dean, we got 50 international paying $250,000 per year, we can support that 160,000
Sure.
patient thing.
You see, but medical is a very tricky, Tuan Haji, very tricky because it is quota. In addition to that, the challenge is that of housemanship training. Because currently, housemanship can only be given to public hospital. Although there's a new circular that came out in March 2016 that they are trying to explore, that housemanship can go to private universities, but private university, in terms of private hospital, but private hospital will have to fulfill certain condition. But the challenge of going to private hospital is that nobody wants to do their social responsibility because private hospital are private paying patients. So they don't want to see a houseman. This is the challenges. We at Segi University, I have got only about 90 a year for quota because of my student and professor ratio. And my medical faculty for the 4th and 5th year is in Cebu, right in the middle of jungle. So to get professors that want to be in Cebu is a daunting task. I get professors from US who are almost 80 years old, Indian national, kebanyakan, a wife died, but nobody to take care of him in America, he wants to die in Cebu. These are the quality of the doctors I'm getting now at Cebu, teaching my medical, but they are good, but they are all very old, 80, 83. So the challenge is that we are going to write to the minister to explore and see if we are able to get the approval in principle for our housemen, for our students, the final year graduate yang MBBS ni, boleh buat housemanship in a private hospital. And if you are able to get an agreement from the private hospital that they're willing to accommodate, will you recognize that? So we have written. So if you want to write with me, can write together as part. We are writing to the medical board, we are writing to the minister, because we feel that these medical students are high ticket items for my university. One medical student, I whack 400,000 ringgit for a 5-year program. Compared to a degree in business is only about 60,000 ringgit. Dentistry, we charge 340. For you, especially when you talk about international students, you can even charge half. But provided housemanship. Unless you have got an agreement with the student, they can sign a waiver where in terms of their training for housemanship, they go back to their home country.
This is the thing, we can do better because our relation and our networking with the other countries.
Correct.
They can do on their own country.
Correct. They can go back, they sign the condition, they do 5 years MBBS, and then for housemanship, they go back. But that involves bilateral. When it involves bilateral, you know lah, they're all very slow, relax. They don't see the urgency of getting done. You need to push. You know, I have been in the corporate sector for the last 34 years. When I joined SEGI University, I have a lot of challenges in terms of approvals from authorities. You know that I personally have to go and kiss the hand and the feet of all the desk officers to get things done. Honestly, saya kena pergi cium tangan, cium kaki, nak minta kelulusan. I have no choice. Because why? There's so many private universities. There are very limited desk officers. So if you just write a letter asking for approval without the proper kissing in the hand and the feet, you get nothing done. You tunggulah. Dia kata SOP 4 bulan lah kena reply. Tapi 3 bulan baru dia nak tanya apa yang tak cukup. You know, so we go through the challenges. I'm sure you all go through the challenges, but for me, it's all about money. I have to make money for the university. So kalau kita nak buat program, kita nak minta anything from government, we got to make sure we go and camp. Even at MQA pun every Thursday, you tahu tak dia ada hari pelanggan? Are you aware tak? I will go personally and sit down. Duduk 2 jam. Sampai to the extent I have to wait even for my letters. But never mind. You see, again, this is relationship. Kalau you berjumpa desk officer tu, you cakap dengan dia elok-elok, tolonglah adik, kesian kat saya. Saya ni presiden. Presiden pun tak pernah datang. Tapi I respect you so much. I come. Please help me. Tell me the challenges so that I can address with you now. I bring my professor duduk sebelah. And I tell you, if you have that relationship, believe me, dia ni terhabak kat you, okay, you bawa cek sekarang ni, RM1 kita bagi approval. That is the situation. Because you have a relationship. You dah jumpa dia. The check is payable to MQA, bukan kepada dia. But he can do it if he really want to do it. Maknanya, we have to be humble lah. Janganlah kita bodoh sombong. Maknanya, we have to go down. Don't think that you are just the number 1 or you are the dean. It is beneath you to go and see the desk officer. If you really want to get things done in this world, you got to act differently. You need to be extraordinary to get things done. Then only you can be entrepreneurial. Then only you can become very holistic person. These are the extraordinary effort that you must do to make things happen. But if you go through the process, hantar surat, wallahi, you telefon dia, telefon pun tak angkat. Telefon tak pernah angkat, pasti dia meeting selalu. You cannot blame them. But if you go, walaupun tak ada appointment, you go, you sit, you wait for half an hour, you wait for 1 hour. At the end of the day, it's your passion. Believe me, you can get it done. I joined SEGI University in December. Saya bukan nak puji diri sendiri. Dulu SEGI University, bila you tengok SEGI University itu, it is associated to a Chinese university. Betul tak? Semua Cina. It's not. We have 54% Bumi Putra. Tapi unfortunately 54% Bumi Putra tu Bumi Putra lah. Dia tak create impact. So for you to gain the recognition and respect of the other races, you as a Bumi Putra must show that you have got the ability to deliver. If if you have got the ability to show that you, Bumiputra, can do better than them. And that is where the respect is. And they see that you work with passion, that you care for the university, that you take the trouble to go kiss the hand and the feet to get the approval for the benefit of the university. This is where you get the respect. And now we are changing that. I have done collaboration with UIA, I have done collaboration with USIM, I have done collaboration with UMK. We are bringing the public university closer to Sagi University in the spirit of the collegiality and the commonality, which our minister is talking about. And we can make it happen. But the driver must be strong. Although there will be certain proposal that you'll be making at the exco, they will look at you with a different view. But if you communicate it well to them, you tell them this is the value proposition that will add value to the university. This will be the impact. Sooner or later, within 2-3 months, they will accept you as part of the team. And they will give you the full support. And that I can tell you the story. Yes, sir.
Lagi, ni pasal about, sorry Bro Abdul Aziz.
Yeah.
Because maybe from the same area, our lahjah wahidah.
Please, please.
Jadi apa ni, according the British style, those in the upper echelon cannot mix with those lower because that creates familiarity and it's difficult in terms of assessment. Which is to be permeable all across the levels, or there must be a certain gaps.
Wallahi, in the Quran, all humans are all alike. No matter you come from the king or you come from the pauper. Again, you benchmark yourself to the Quran. Nobody is above anybody else. Everybody is equal. You came out from the same way, you die the same way. So generally, I believe that all humans are equal. The only thing that we give respect is because you come from the upper echelon, because you have a position. I respect the chair that you sit in. All the time, whoever, he can be a gun, he can sit on that chair, I will still respect the chair. Because that is the chair that he sits on. Whether I respect the person is secondary. But as long as that person sits in the chair, we must practice the highest decorum and give him the respect that he deserves. So the association between us meeting the clerk, I will tell you a story, Haji. Real story. My friend died 1 year ago. Before he died, he told his son, please call Azahari because I need to see him very urgent. So they were trying to call me that night before he died. I couldn't because I was having dinner. I saw the son calling at 12 o'clock. So I told him, okay. He said, Bapa wants to see you immediately. All right? Can you come and see him? I said, can I see him tomorrow morning? He said, okay. So 7 o'clock after subuh, saya keluar cepat-cepat, took my wife, went to the hospital, and I hold his hand. He just whispered to me. He said, please, brother, help me. Please bury me in Bukit Kiara. Please. I think you're the only one that can help me. I've thought, because I don't live in that community. I live in Kelana Jaya. So I cannot be buried in Bukit Kiara. But his wishes to me, the moment he said to me, I hold his hand, he passed away. He passed away. He was just waiting for me. And that was his last wish. So how do I react? I know very well governance say he cannot be buried in Bukit Kiara. Because governance kata to be buried in Bukit Kiara, you must be a resident of Damansara Heights or Taman Tun or Bangsa. And the only person that can give you the flexibility is the masjid punya imam. You have to go and see either these 3 imam of the masjid to get a certification that he is a resident. Then it is construct cheating pula. He doesn't live in Kelana. Ni nak simpan orang nak mati pun nak tipu juga. He want to bury a person also, he want to lie. So I told myself, okay, this is the last wish. I told the wife, don't worry, I will go do my best. I rushed to the gravesite in Bukit Kiara. And you know who is the most powerful person in the gravesite? It is the grave digger. So if I am a datuk lah, kata nak mengada-ngada saya ni datuk, you think I want to go and see the grave digger and talk about it? I will call the minister. Datuk Seri Jamil Khair Baharom, bolehkah tolong ni kawan saya nak ni is going to be kept in Bukit Kiara. You think he has got the power? He's very difficult. Who is he going to call? And it will take time. Kita nak simpan mayat cepat-cepat. I saw the grave digger. I went and see him. He was sitting at this place like the king. I said, Tuan, tolonglah saya, Tuan. Kawan saya baru meninggal. Bolehkah Tuan? Dia tak duduk di sini. Dia duduk di Kelana Jaya. Tapi Tuan, I live in Damansara. Saya bagi IC saya. Saya kata, Tuan, tolonglah saya. Kalau nak ambil tempat saya, bagilah kawan saya ke bumi di sini. Kalau saya meninggal, simpan mana-mana pun tak apa. Saya bukan amanat nak simpan di mana-mana pun. Mana-mana pun sama saja. So, why don't you take my place? He look at me. Tak apalah, don't worry. Cik just isi borang ni. Saya kata, tak perlu kapi masjid, pasal tak sempat. Pasal mayat nak kena simpan, pasal dia mati kanser. Bila mati kanser ni, kita kena simpan cepat-cepat. Pasal ailing. Mayat tak, will not be good to keep for long. So you need to bury. So I told him, can you dig a hole for me by 11:30? Because that time was about 8:30. He said, 11:30 could be challenging. Pasal ada lagi 3 mayat nak sampai. So I said, please help me. He looked at me again. Since I'm begging him, he is seeing me coming in my car in the Mercedes-Benz S300, begging the guy who's a grave digger. You think other people will beg him? I beg him. Please help me. Even you can take my place. Never mind, I can be buried elsewhere. He look at me. Tak apalah, Encik. Bawa lah sekarang. Nanti saya suruh dia korek. That is a lesson I'm telling all of you. Jangan pandang hina pada orang di bawah. Never look down on anybody in this world. Because the person you least expect to help you, these other people will help you. The grave digger. He decide, okay, dia kata masuk liang tu. Done. 11:30 kita main, everything ready. Dan selepas itu, dia nanti buat bagi elok. Dia kemas semua kubur bagi cantik-cantik, dia nanti call you lah. Cik, tadi kita dah buat semua RM500 lah. Okay, khalas, no problem. Kita bayar. No problem. Small matter. We will pay. So the lesson learned, it doesn't hurt any of us if for the things to get it done. If you need to go and kiss the hand and the feet because you do it karena Allah, you will always be blessed. And I hope one day people will do the same for me. I will hope. Because kalau kita buat baik dengan orang, orang akan buat baik kepada kita balik. These are the things that I want to tell you, please. Ego must always bring down to the lowest level. If you want to be a leader, if you want to be a respected leader, you can be firm, yes. You can be strict, yes. You can be tough, yes. But when it comes to dealing with people, you must always respect them to the highest level that you can, irrespective of their position, irrespective of their color and their creed. Because you never know the person that you have not met in your life. Another story. I tell you, bila kita mati ni lah, it's very important. I like to talk about mati because that is the most ultimate of everything. Bila kita mati ni, siapa, who will be the person that will be holding and clutching your body and resting you on the ground? If it is your son, Alhamdulillah. But if your son is in London, do you want to wait for him to come back 3 days so that you can rot in his hand? If it is your brother and sisters or brother that goes into the liang, Alhamdulillah. But generally, most of the family members, usually their size is a bit bigger so they won't go down, because they cannot come up again. And they will say sorry because they got this knee pain, everything pain, So the grave digger is the person that will clutch your body without knowing whether you die of AIDS or you die of any contagious disease. But yet he clutch you so closely in his arms and rest you in peace without hurting your janazah. So my storyline is very simple. Every time you all go to the graveyard, the first person you meet is the grave digger and take his phone number. His phone number must always be on your handphone. Because mati, nak panggil kawan, bos. Kawan tidur lagi belum bangun. Kawan boleh bukan boleh bawa kain kapan, nak bawa cucuk apa nama yang celana semua nak pakai, nak bagi kemen mayat, bukan. It's the imam and the grave digger. These are lessons learned lah. Although I'm digressing skit from governance, but that is life. That is life. I don't want to bore you bila cakap governance takut tidur. I hope that answer your question, boy. Irrespective of greed and color, semua manusia sama. Cuma Allah bagi berkat kat dia, rezeki dia pangkat tinggi. Sementara di dunia, pangkat dia tinggi. Di akhirat semua sama. Any more questions? Thank you very much. Oh, one more, please. Kira. You can ask me, and I'm here full day for you, sir. Okay. I think Islamic finance have gone through a different cycle. We have so much in terms of competition from the conventional banking. I think Islamic finance have done well. You have seen the growth, the level also in terms of participation from many other jurisdictions of the world. I think the challenge of Islamic finance is how do we take this to the next level? How do you move this? We started in 1983 when we did the Islamic Banking Act, and the first bank was Bank Islam in 1983. We see the evolution of Islamic banks from windows to full-fledged and to full subsidiaries also. We have seen that. But the most important thing to me, I think the failure of Islamic finance is to be the ability to develop the human resources, the people that are managing Islamic banks. Cara dia ni, dia nak jual Islamic finance. You are selling Islamic finance. But when you go to the counter to put your deposit, you see the girl, he behaves worse than the Jew. This is the problem. You are selling the finest product in the world, but the person dispensing the product is not reflecting the values of Islam. That is my concern. We are very concerned about growth rates. We are concerned about the level of Islamic finance overtaking conventional financing in terms of percentages, about global finance. We are talking about liquidity in Islamic finance, but there has not been any emphasis on the development of the people management that is running Islamic banks. And when you have a board which does not understand Islamic finance and is treating Islamic finance as part of the quota to fulfill the industry requirement, that is more challenging. Especially when you have no stand-alone Islamic finance bank. You look at CIMB, you got CIMB Islamic. You get Hong Leong, you got Hong Leong Islamic. But if you look at the profitability of Islamic bank and conventional bank, they make more money because their margins are very much higher. They can whack penalty up to 12% on credit card. But Islamic banks, we can't. Maximum 1%. On top of that, also kita kena whatever penalty you take, you have to hibah, you have to give it back to charity. You cannot book in as profit. So we need to formalize an infrastructure which is standardized, may it be conventional or Islamic bank, that the same perimeter must hold water. Meaning to say, penalty, even conventional bank, also charge 1%. Cannot be 12%. Because it is not ethical, and it is seen to be Jewish. How can you capitalize on people that are having problems, and you whack them some more? But we don't see that spirit being enforced by Islamic bank, because we follow the same act. Although we have an Islamic Banking Act, but in terms of enforcement, in terms of penalties, yes, we are covered. But the degree of non-performing, this is where, when you talk about Islamic finance, when a person is having difficulty to honor its obligation to the bank, the role of the Islamic finance is to provide empathy and care, that you must be sympathetic with the client. So therefore, you must restructure the facility to make sure that with the restructuring, he is able to honor the obligation based on his ability to make the payment. But for Islamic bank, if you restructure that, you still have to make full provision. When you make full provision, it hits the bottom line immediately. So the spirit of Islamic finance, sometimes it is in contradiction with the infrastructure of the legal aspect, which is not seen to be Islamic in many ways. I've been talking about this for a long time. As you know, I've been in Islamic Bank for the last 8 years as CEO. I go to international conferences. These are the issues that I raise. Whether we are now emphasizing on the need of enhancing the delivery system to make sure that those who participate in the Islamic finance sphere must have the same values of an Islamic person. Islamic person means the sense of due diligence, the care, the love. That means every time you go to an Islamic bank, you nak bagi deposit, Assalamualaikum, apa khabar puan? Dah masak? Terima kasih. Ni nak buat keluar duit. Okay, talk nicely. Now you're only talking to the machine. You go to the ATM, you press 1, press 2, press 3, press 4. So if you go to the branches, you want to get that personalized service, there is no more relationship in banking. And Islam is all about ukhwah. It is about relationship. So where do we stand in this area? These are the challenges which I thought some of the PhD scholars should write. You are talking about the fundamental of Islam, but yet at the end of the day, what will be the impact to Islamic civilization, to Islamic society? I hope that answers your question. These are the challenges which I think which is very critical to address. Other than that, of course, in terms of product development, product delivery, I think we have a lot of that already in the pipeline. Thank you. If there's no other question, saya sudahi, wabillahi taufiq walhidayah, wassalamualaikum, and saya mohon maaf kalau terkasar if I see anything wrong to hurt any of your feelings. Saya mohon maaf, seribu maaf. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Datuk, for a very informative and interesting talk. We would like to take this opportunity to convey our special compliment to you for the excellent deliberation. To show our appreciation, I would like to invite Honorable Professor Dr. Abdul Aziz Burgoud, Deputy Rector, Internationalization and Industry and Community Relations, to give a token of appreciation to our speaker. We have come to the end of the program. On behalf of the organizer, we hope that this program has met its objectives and all participants have gained valuable knowledge. Again, on behalf of IIUM, I would like to convey our deepest appreciation to our invited guest, invited speaker for his willingness to spend his time with us. We adjourn our program by reciting Tasbih Kafarah and Surah Al-As. Thank you and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.